60. That is the magic points gap needed for Global SimRacing team's Brandon Hawken ahead of his competition to clinch a championship. The Canadian has had a banner year for his career with 4 victories and a whopping 6 of the first 7 pole awards this season. However, 2 major players still have a chance to show what they can do today. Evergreen, Colorado's Elvis Little King Rankin started off the campaign with a splash with a 2-second victory at Okayama. Since the Charlotte Roval, however, luck has not been on the Orion race team driver's side. The former Cooper Tire Scholarship Shootout finalist will need a strong finish today to stay lockstep with Hawken. The same goes for R70 team's Jaume Damascus Torres. After being handed a 2-point penalty for a last lap crash at the World Center of Racing, the Barcelona-based driver will be looking to break through for his first victory of 2020 today in this series. Who will take hold of their destiny today? We're about to find out live on the Global SimRacing Channel. Welcome everyone to today's edition of the Sim Experience Countdown to Green, live at the virtual Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta for Round 8 of Season 5, the Big C's MX-5 Challenge. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside the booth today is Stefan Schlacker. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. This is the type of racetrack where fans love to go to and racers love to drive at. Let's take a look at your track guide to learn more about Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta.
Welcome to Road Atlanta, the scene of incredible sports car racing for decades and the home to the Petit Le Mans. This is a track that has proven itself to be worthy of attention on a world stage. With it being situated only an hour northeast of Atlanta, Georgia, the circuit is in a prime location. But despite its flagship race, in contrast to the real Le Mans, the full course is a measly 2.5 miles long. The club layouts also clock in at just under 2 miles. Packed within this small lap length is a series of technical and challenging corners, some of which can be race-ending even when small mistakes are made. Turn 1 is a fast sweeper which compresses the car into the track, but the high speeds mean that when you go off, you typically go off in a big way. Turn 3 is notorious for its curved entry into a blind apex. Too far inside and you face a cut course penalty. Too far outside and you're likely to spin out. Then there's the unassuming Turn 5. The wide curbing lures you into getting greedy, but the close walls on either side gobble up cars and spit them out as a crumpled heap. With all the tricky fast turns, that's not to say that there aren't passing opportunities. The main one comes at the chicane at the bottom of the backstretch. The huge downhill drop into the turn makes outbraking yourself quite easy though, so be careful. The whole thing wraps up with the frightening final corner. With nothing but a giant wall right to the outside as cars fly through at high speed, it's not often that wrecks are small. Boasting a wide swath of series over its history, everything from NASCAR to Indy Lights and of course IMSA, the main use of the track is SCCA events and driving schools. No wonder this place is popular both in real life and here on the iRacing service. Fans will no doubt get to enjoy many more years of action at this incredible track.
That was a look at your GSRC track guide for Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Remember, the Countdown to Green is brought to you by the Sim Experience AccuForce steering system. With the most advanced tuning features on the market, the AccuForce Direct Drive is second only to the real thing. To check out the entire Sim Experience line of products, head on over to simexperience.com. Now playing the part of today, as seen for Stefan Schlacker, is Ryan Walker. Ryan Walker filling in today. What type of race do you expect today for these MX-5s here?
I'm expecting a really good race, action-packed race around this fantastic 2.45 mile 12-turn track. Road Atlanta has hosted a whole range of series in the past, from the SCCA to the Skip Barber Racing School, and the Sub-Spec Race of 4, the IMSA Sports Car Championship, and a whole range of other things. You name it, it's probably been here. And today in this round of the Big C series for the MX-5s, this should be an absolutely fantastic race.
It's always been one where draft has been important too, and excitement's been on hand. But excitement is on hand when it comes to the fans from Global SimRacing, because when you look at the championship standings, Brandon Hawken has been having his most dominant campaign in the point standings of his career in this series. 43 points is the advantage over Elvis Rankin entering today. 157 total points scored in 4 victories, including at Suzuka, Road America, the Charlotte Roval, and Brands Hatch. Meanwhile, of note for Yame Torres, he did have a points deduction as mentioned after a crash on the last lap in the last corner at the Daytona International Speedway. That puts him 47 points behind Hawkin and 4 points behind Rankin in the battle for second in the prize pool. Robert Hartley and Clifford Eben entered today, tied 82 points back, while in 6th overall is Tao Kukuku with 89 points behind your championship leaders. With that, though, it's important to note the championship race details because today could be critical. Again, to remind you, the magic number for Hawkin leaving today with an advantage over his competitors is 60 points in the standings.
Absolutely. As the race details for today for this Big C's challenge. This is round 8 of 10, and the race length is always 40 minutes with the setups being fixed, so you can't make any changes. Even if you're struggling with the setup, you can't change anything, and you have to basically deal with it. And the instant cap is 20x, and the points go down from 1st down to 15th, and if you finish outside those point scoring positions, it's pretty much a tough deal.
It's going to be intriguing, absolutely. Keep in mind that live time scoring is available today at GSRC.tv. Once again, GSRC.tv. Keep with your favorite teams and drivers, where you can find Brandon Hawkin at the top of the board in qualifying. So far, it's a 137.5. As mentioned, 6 out of the 7 pole awards this season, it's been dominating so far to see Hawkin on the track. He seems like he is happy over Torres, to say the least, by about a 10.5 plus as he pulled over just moments ago. While Nico Arilomo, the Pablo Espes coming in with R70 today to join his teammate Torres, and Sullivan round out the top 5. Also, one driver to keep an eye on today is Trident Racing's Rafael Dragic coming in today. Driver in practice with a 137 flat. He's 6th in qualifying, Ryan.
Yep, absolutely. He's sitting in the top 3 at the moment, and just looking at the lap times throughout the field, it's pretty much really, really close. And as Daniel Arrow Muniz comes into the pits, and Austin J. Smith comes across the line to complete a lap, but he's only 24th on the grid at the moment.
Let's take a look towards your qualifying details presented by SH8 Shifter, shall we, as these cars continue to cycle their way around the racetrack. These drivers have 4 total sole qualifying laps for the next 15 minutes, halfway through that clock right now, with strict qualifying scrutiny. Again, if you say stop at the racetrack and lock up your brakes or spin around, it can trigger a disqualification to your qualifying run and mean the end of said qualifying. Once again, that's presented by SH8 Shifter. Uses the only best commercial plastics to create the high-quality 3D printed shifters you need to give it your all on the track. The commitment to detail and durability ensures that you receive the perfect shifter. Find them on the web at shifter8shh.com. Several competitors still making their way around the racetrack. As per usual, 78 degrees Fahrenheit is the air temp, 80 degrees is the track temp. Currently in late evening, but we'll be seeing the headlights turn on to these race cars pretty soon. And several different groups have brought themselves to this track for either their first starts in a while or their first starts in general this season. Outside of Rafael, we talked about moments ago, the driver 8th on the board, for example, he just finished up in qualifying as Alessandro Tutulio. He is a young go-kart racer from the United States. He's making his debut for 2020 this season. Lee Martin, we haven't seen too much of this campaign. He's on racetrack right now. He's 38th on the board. And don't forget about some of the top drivers in practice who went under the radar, who are making some of their first starts. We mentioned Espes. We also have drivers like Ryan Pandicito, who made his start last week at Daytona Road Course. He is 37th on the board. So a lot of drivers as the season's coming to a close in the final stages, ready to try and have some fun today at one of the drafting tracks on the schedule.
Yep, absolutely. As Jordan Batsmeyer comes around the final corner now, currently 13th, and having a little bit of showboating across the line.
Well, you have Jonas Seeger, meanwhile, in the Seeger Sim Racing car, spinning around. But when it comes to this track, what are some of the best places to pass today? Because, of course, there is that big drafting section people think about from turn 7 to turn 10.
I think turn one, you might be able to make a move, but it's a bit difficult to make a move there when you're stuck in a pack. I think the best opportunity of making a move is possibly that back straight and heading down to the final chicane. And I think you might see some people trying to do some late braking moves.
Yes, indeed, as Elvis Rankin jumps up to 6, while once again, after going up to 4, Rafal Dragic moves into the pit lane. Caleb Hines currently in 7th. We're talking a bit about, as well, the drivers for today. You were interested and intrigued at not just the drivers you raced against, but the ones with big storylines and who are pretty noteworthy. Your thoughts on some of the competitors today and who you feel might be in the best situation to compete today with already under 5 minutes in qualifying on the board?
I think some people to keep a look out for. You've got Clifford Devon down in 11th place at the moment. You've also got Elvis Rankin currently in 6th position. And then, like you say, Brandon Hopkin on the pole at the moment. But also, I don't know, maybe someone to keep an eye on that might get through the field is in 16th place at the moment is Ari Hero.
Yeah, Harrell's been pretty competitive in the points. Kenny Brady would start behind him currently if things stand. Gary Anderson, one of the final drivers on the track. It's going to be an intriguing race today. And of course, though, keep in mind with the championship complexion so important for both Rankin as well as Torres, where do they need to be the most careful in your opinion today? The danger zone, so to speak, with this racetrack?
I think if you're stuck in a pack, you've got to be really careful through that SE section going down the hill. I think you might see some people getting caught out, maybe just by people having to check up more than usual. I think, or maybe a bit of a bottleneck effect through there, as Robert Hartley's coming across the line now to finish his lap, and that was an out lap, so he's just started the qualifying lap right now as Joe Cole comes across the line as well.
Of note, by the way, Hartley, no laps in practice today. The only driver not to set an official time is Luke Bennett, who has just started his first lap. Taking a look at Kip Stevens, 30th. You talked about him being competitive in the past from your experiences. He's currently 30th, as mentioned in that pink machine. But to get to the point here, it's looking like it's a good run for Kip Stevens, we are hearing, but you can see not going to be as quick. He had an incident point this lap.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Stevens, but watching Gary Anderson coming down the back straight as well, and he's currently only 44th on the grid at the moment, and it looks like actually just disappeared.
Outlap. I think outlap possibly, if anything, Gary Anderson. But here is young Juan Manuel Fernandez, who has had a heck of a season. He's been a top 10 contender all season, won at Daytona in a 3-wide battle for the win at the checker flag. He just bumped up his qualifying time, it appears, a 1:37.8. Gets him up to 10th as well, Ryan.
Yeah, as looking at Robert Hartley right now, coming around to complete his lap, and it looks to be a pretty decent lap at the moment, and this should be a 38, I believe, as he comes across the line. Yeah, a 38.3, and that should put him in only 20th.
20th? What? Wow. For Robert Hartley, a P20? That isn't... I don't even remember the last time he qualified outside the top 10.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. That's not like Robert Hartley. He's normally right up there, challenging.
Yeah, he has been a multiple-time series champion, of course, in the Big C's MX-5 Challenge this year. Has not had luck go his way. Seen with the point standings, nearly won at Daytona. He's one of the final drivers who will be able to set a time. Him, Kip Stevens, Rico Umbra, Joe Cole, Roland Gill, Gary Anderson, the only air drivers on track for Kip Stevens. A 1:40 does not bump up his time. That was an official time. He's 31st in qualifying, and there goes the last chance. For Robert Hartley, though, all eyes on him because this is his final lap to bump himself up. And from when he took the time at the stripe, it's going to be within 5 seconds of the end of the clock.
Yeah, this is going to be real close if he runs out of time or not. And it looks to be a decent lap, but I don't think it'll probably put him inside the top 10 possibly. He just needs to try and get around the final few corners. But yeah, this is going to be mighty close with regards to the countdown.
And if he gets an incident point, remember, that would mean his worst starting position all season. Hartley, final corner. He'll come in with about 10 seconds of separation. He picked up a little bit more time in this lap, a 1:38.7. Wow. Hartley's worst qualifying run all season comes at Road Atlanta. As we finish up qualifying, that is the last driver to take an official time as we make our way to the pitbox.io starting grid. Pitbox.io is a new cloud-based data platform that allows drivers, engineers, and coaches to store, analyze, and share data such as track notes and car setup to better improve performance on the racetrack. Visit pitbox.io to get started. Drivers making their way to the standings start for today's action for what's expected to be one of the biggest races of this campaign. For Brendan Hawken, he is your pole sitter today with a 1:37.372 for your pitbox.io starting grid. Starting alongside him today is his championship rival, Jaume Torres, with Vicente Salas, the driver racing in the eNASCAR, iRacing Pro Series, and the Rallycross Pro driver on iRacing in third. Just a couple tenths off the pole, his best run this year in qualifying. Once again with Rafael Drozic in P4. Pablo Espas starts in fifth with Elvis ranking in sixth. Caleb Highs, Nico Arvilomi, Anthony Burrows, and Clifford Evan, your top 10.
Starting 11th is Juan Manuel Fernandez, with 12th going to Shane Sullivan. Alessandro Di Tullio starts in 13th with Jordan Bachmeyer, and 14th, 15th going to James Sharp, with Finland's Ari Hero in 16th, 17th going to Kenny Brady, with Stephen Van Opstal in 18th, 19th is Owen Watts, and Robert Hartley, the biggest shock in qualifying, rounds out the top 20.
Among your noteworthy drivers from 21st on back, Daniel Munoz will start 21st. Jason Walsh was quick in practice, 23rd. Will Mason was second at one point, 22nd. Hal Semanek back in the car for Jordan Racing, 25th. Also keep an eye on Austin Johnson in 30th. Kip Stevens, we talked about him starting in 31st today. Jonas Seeger, he said after qualifying, he thinks he would have got the pole if he was only 2 seconds quicker. Well, he ran a 1:39, he's 36. 45 cars are on grid. Engines are starting to rev. Green lights are out. We're underway for the Big C's MX-5 Challenge from Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta. Already one car in the grass, nearly bobbing around. That was Fernandez able to save it as they go 3 wide into turn 1.
Yeah, it's all pretty close at the moment, heading through turn 1. It looks like everyone so far has managed to make it through clean without any issues. As someone's off into the barrier in turn 1.
That's Jonas Seeger, along with George Fike and several others at the back of the field. Front runners continue to rumble on. That was about 28th on back. And Gober, who was a top 10 car a few weeks back, involved Justin Taylor and a couple others. Still though, it's Brandon Hawken up at the front. Already several competitors gaining spots, including Highs +2. Now Rafael Droncic's in trouble. He brings Anthony Burrows and Caleb Highs around. Several more crashing in the middle of the straightaway.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I was talking about. Through the SS section, you get a bit of a bottleneck effect, and on the exit of that SS section, it looks like some people might have just lost it, and everyone behind just had no time to react.
Already at least 15-20 drivers, give or take, have been involved in some type of contact in the first minute of this race. But that has meant one thing. Hawken, Vicente Salas, and Jaume Torres are your top 3. For Salas from Elliott Sauer Esports, the first time he's been in the main pack all season. He's been a contender in the second pack in his part-time schedule. What will he be able to do this race is now going to be the biggest question in everybody's minds, as they have pulled more than 4 seconds on the rest of the field from those crashes. Let's take a look at what just happened with some of the incidents now as a result of all this craziness. The main pack is 4.5 seconds back. Once again, there was the biggest of the incidents though coming out of the S's. This is once again with one of the drivers making one of his limited starts today, having to check up for one of the R70 cars.
Yeah, so it looks like someone just basically got nudged, and that just basically caused mayhem. And it was like watching a game of pinball.
Once again, that was one of the newcomers for today's race, involved the teammate to Torres. That was the first driver around. A big-time incident causes big-time chaos, and now there were essentially 3 packs just now formed up. Hawkins, Salas, and Torres, Rankin and Fernandez have grouped up 4.5 seconds back. Then there is a big gaggle of cars 6.5 seconds back of the leaders, led by Kenny Brady, who's plus 11, and Hartley plus 13.
Yeah, it was a fantastic start by Robert Hartley. He just took advantage of all that carnage, and he's already up into the top 10, so an amazing start by him. But behind him, he's got a swarm of cars putting him under huge pressure.
Yeah, you can see the big slingshot effect on Kenny Brady. He said he had 4 laps of practice prior to the green flag. Compare that to one of his fellow drivers today who said they had the same thing. They qualified 40th. Hartley up to the head part of the group as he looks to reel in his teammate who is at the back end of the second pack. Now the biggest question though is, with this many cars in the drafting group, do you think they have a shot to catch up to the rest of the errors because of how much time they've already lost?
It's a bit of it'll be a hard task, but I think if they work together, it might be possible. As it looks like someone's just peeled into the pit.
That's Pablo Espes, who is that car who went around we just talked about, Ryan, in the S's. Your race leaders, though, continuing the fuel save train. What do you think's going through Vicente's head? Because it's been a stellar 2020 for him. He qualified for the iRacing's World Championship for the Rallycross side of the service. He has a chance to qualify for the eNASCAR Coco iRacing Series with Elliott Sauer Esports. And don't forget, the reason you see the factory kart logos is, well, he races go-karts in real life. He's fairly competitive on that side as well.
I think if you're him in this free car pack, I think it might be tempting to go for a move straight away. But on the other hand, it's not a bad thing to fuel save, especially around Road Atlanta. Just because it means at the pit stop you don't have to add as much fuel, but it's also in return saves some time.
I mean, remember, that was partly where Elvis Rankin was able to get that 2-second buffer, right? He saved fuel and undercut the field, ran away after pit stops. Meanwhile, Fernandez among the drivers trying to hook up and work together. As Elvis Rankin has been telling his fellow competitor, work together and push. They lost a 10th this lap.
Yep, so Elvis Rankin's thinking if they start battling, they'll just lose too much time to the pack in front of them. So he's got a good point, working around the Road Atlanta, working together, and to try and push each other, maybe try some leapfrogging and switching around for a few laps might help as well.
You can just see how much they have to slide around these cars, and keep in mind they're not easy ones to drive at times, depending on how the baseline feels / fixed setup for this respective track. And sometimes, if you damage the car, of course, with the new damage model, as we've seen with the big one early on, it can cause your front bumper to shear off or significant aero damage.
Yep, absolutely. As still watching the Fernandez and Rankin as well, and not too far behind them is Rankin's teammate Robert Hartley. So this pack with Hartley as well could be joining this battle very soon.
Absolutely. However, the downside is they're almost 5 seconds behind. They ran 137 8s and 9s last time. The lead pack led by a 138 flat. But then on the intervals, it isn't matching the eye test, so to speak, to close up quite yet. Here comes Vicente Salas, though, looking for the first lead of his career in this series. To the left side, and Brandon Hawkin gives it to him.
Yep, Hawkin didn't make much of a fight of that. He knows it's still early in the race to start scrapping amongst themselves. But so maybe he's just deciding to tuck in behind and do some fuel saving himself.
Probably the smart move too. And with this race, the way it's shaping out, it could come down to the numbers. 5 DNFs, by the way, so far after the incidents. George Fike, Justin Taylor, Caleb Hides, Justin Ataconis, and Pablo Espes are the drivers who are out of the race. 40 are still running. Your biggest dropper so far is Shane Sullivan. Your biggest gainer? He's currently in the mix of trying to gain up to the main pack, is in 15th, the last points paying position. Luke Bennett is 30 positions up from his qualifying spot.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. And like you say, up to 15th at the moment. And yeah, that's amazingly he managed to keep out of all the trouble.
Normally we see these types of big moves that don't sometimes lead to points. We've seen grids as large as 60 cars, mind you. We haven't seen 30 positions gain in 8 minutes, even with a big one, though, before. How he was able to get through the chaos is the craziest thing, probably. To get himself in this spot, there's a chance he gets himself to 13th and 14th. In fact, got within a second just now of Jason Walsh and Will Mason, where 10 and 8 positions gained respectively.
Yeah, I was just about to say, just in front of Bennett, you've got Jason Walsh and Will Mason as well, scrapping for 13th. So this is a good opportunity for Bennett to gain even more positions at the moment, and he's not too far outside the top 10 as well, just looking at the charts.
Battle for the race lead is on as some of the body rolls starting to build up. Vicente Salas weight shifted a ton coming out of the final corners. Brandon Hawken takes the race lead. And one of the main things, one of our broadcast drivers we've seen in the past, or should I say competitors in this series, Rachel Williams may tell you, Ryan, is not just with the S's is the trouble, but also there's a lot of body roll with these cars, especially with the weight to them, because depending on some of these tracks, the steering wheel can get very heavy since they added the new damage model for the Big C, for the MX-5 rather.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. I've done some laps with the MX-5 since the update came out with the new tyre model, and you've kind of got to drive this car differently, or you've got to use the rear to rotate, and it's kind of it requires a completely different sort of driving style in a way. See, I found it's a lot more difficult to adapt to it, but other drivers, as I'm watching now, just seem to be able to get to grips with it really quickly.
Absolutely. Here's the tough part for trying to get to grips with the lead pack if you're 4th and 5th still is they're matching times, if anything. It's only been up to 0.2 of a second difference. What do you think Fernandez and Rankin have to do at this point to get up there, other than, of course, somehow get Robert Hartley and the rest of the pack to group up with them?
Honestly, I think they've just got to try and work together, but when it comes to slipstreaming and drafting, especially in the MX-5, some drivers don't seem to be able to do that.
That's Kenny Brady! That's Kenny Brady dooring cars. What in the world? That is Alessandro Di Tullio he just doored as the teammates now swap to the Delta Sport cars who are making their debuts this season.
Yeah, that was a bit of a scary move, but a great pull off. And like I was saying, I think Hartley, if he catches up to Rankin and Fernandez, they've got to work together. But I think the gap at the front with the top three is it's too difficult to close down.
So Di Tullio losing several positions and now losing a bit of speed after all that paint scraping. She's got significant damage to the right rear of the race car as a result. For him, by the way, it was a P8 overall in the 2020 SK USA Winter Series X30 Junior Division. Once again, that is go-kart racing in the United States, also competing in the Florida Winter Tour this year. Now, losing some pace as a result. Of note, Kip Stevens has had to come in. He's pit for an unscheduled stop, but already 10 minutes on the clock or so, just about 11 minutes at the back of the field. So far, still 40 cars running at the moment. The main pack still 3 drivers. The second pack is now 3 as well, as Hartley has gotten up to them after all that bumping and scraping in the third pack.
Absolutely, and Hartley's caught up to his teammate Rankin, so I wonder if Rankin and Hartley will try and work together as we ride on board with Robert right now, and he's just got a bird's eye view of what's going on in front of him. And I think these guys will probably be in the same TeamSpeak or Discord or whatever they use to communicate, just maybe say to each other, maybe try and work together. As we look up at the front, looking at Torres as well.
Torres has always been at the draft tracks, Ryan, this year especially, been the aggressor in the draft pack. He's not willing to, so to speak, sit around and wait. If he's got a chance to make a pass, he'll try and get it. The problem is, though, they're going to have to deal with Kip Stevens now, too. They have a 4th car now in the pack after his pit stop.
Absolutely, and in fact, I have to agree with you. From watching the broadcast this season, Torres just seems to be one of those drivers that if he sees an opportunity to go for a move, he'll go for it, and he just... he's pretty much one of those elbows out drivers.
Yeah, he was really the aggressor at Daytona before incidents. Kenny Brady, meanwhile, is now in the pit lane after some problems. And he was in the battle for 8th, and now he is in the pit lane with a blown motor. The reason is, well, He made his way towards turns 3 and 4 and got hit by several cars, including Owen Watts, Daniel Munoz, Nico Arilomi, Alessandro Di Tullio had all bumped him around. So again, Kenny Brady is out. Vicente Salas now trying to draft from P3.
Yep, and it looks like Vicente is not going to make a move. He's actually going to try and push Torres to try back up to Hawken, who's in front of them. Got a little bit of a buffer, not too much, but just it looks like Torres and Salas realised if they scrap amongst themselves, they'll lose touch with Hawken.
Yeah, and that's one of the main threats when it comes to Hawken this season, right? Is there's a reason in several series he's been well respected for not just his personality, but his driving skill in the road courses. He can pull from the drafting quick. He did that at tracks like Suzuka this year based on skill alone. In some others, he did get some luck here and there. By the way, P12, 13th on back. Continuing to get a little bit hectic. Again, this is where Rico Imba currently for the Nada team race team is. Jason Walsh, Will Mason.
Yep, the three drivers have been close together, and it looks like there's a move going on in the background. Oh, I thought there was going to be a move in the background, but he decides to back out of it. But yeah, this is the battle with Coimbra, Walsh, and Mason. It's really close at the moment.
Yes, indeed, and that's still even with the bit of the gap starting to build as big drift from Jason Walsh. The Rocky Mountain driver able to hold on to it for now, as he's been someone who is currently driving with the colors that have been seen a lot the past few weeks. The car he's trying to keep up with is plus 20. Again, Mason, a poor qualifying performance after strong practice times. All while James Sharp is closing in on this group.
Yep, the number 5 driver's just lurking in the background, and he's just watching these guys scrap amongst themselves in front of him. And yeah, he'll be there to pick up a few places if either of these 3 guys in front of him slip up.
Absolutely. He's been a contender at times this year for a top 5. He nearly won one race this year. For the race lead, meanwhile, it's still within 4/10. Torres is now trying to provide a bit more pressure on Hawken. We are inside the fuel window where drivers can pit from here and make it. It's about how much fuel you put in, Ryan, of course, that is going to be so critical, because even 4 seconds too much fuel, well, costs you 4 seconds, obviously. If you don't know those numbers, it can cost you this race.
It absolutely can, and also another factor as well, that drivers might take I don't think they'll take all 4 tyres, but they'll probably take either left side or right side, so that's another factor as well.
Yeah, usually it's been 2-tire calls that have been the consensus throughout the season. Penalty, by the way, to Daniel Munoz with contact early on in this race. That was with Kenny Brady, we just mentioned a little while ago, that happened in turn 3 and 4. Since then, Brady with a low motor is not back on the racetrack. Gary Anderson has also parked his car, while Titulio is still getting significant repairs and tows done at the moment. That lead pack, we'll have to see who is the first one to blink.
As it looks like in the background, Vicente Salas I thought he was going for a move. He just peeked out just to show he was there. And these top 3 cars have pretty much stayed in line for a couple of laps at least, I think. And I think they've just decided it's not wise to scrap away like crazy at the moment. But you never know. Torres, like you say, he's one of those drivers that if he sees an opportunity, he'll go for it.
This pack has also gained about half a second or so since the last time intervals were mentioned. 5.3 seconds, 7th place. Meanwhile, that is right now where Luke Bennett is, because pit stops are underway. Munoz with his penalty is in. Ari Lomi and Columbra all came in, so make it a plus 38 now for the number 47.
That's just unbelievable, and he's making good progress, Luke. And maybe some drivers are deciding, or drivers that are stuck in a pack are deciding to make an early pit stop and try and get that crucial undercut,
which has been so critical in some of these races we talked about. Lombard took an 18-second pit stop. Munoz serving his penalty, black flag at the moment. Clifford, Evan, Austin, Smith also in. All of them around 18 or so seconds for their scheduled service, it appears, to try and get to the end of this race. With that being said, how much fuel do you estimate would be the amount to get through? Because as drivers may tell you, the left side, as you were talking about, may be the way to go, and probably will be the way.
I'm not sure how much fuel you need to add in. I think I'm probably get. It depends when you make a pit stop. Obviously, if you pit early, you might need to add some more. But it's so tough to call. You know, some drivers use fuel calculation software, so they'll probably be relying on that to give them a rough estimation.
Mm-hmm. And that's always critical, right? To be able to prepare properly, Ryan, because if you don't calculate all that or have that software, it can cause a bit of trouble to be able to check exactly, because there can be a little bit of a difference estimation wise between the black box and the sim and what the software may tell you in some cases.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been some drivers in the past that have used fuel calculation software, and it's gave them a number, and it's not got them to the end. So maybe, I know from my past experience that whenever I do pit stop races, I normally add a click extra of fuel just to be safe.
Mm-hmm. Have to see if anyone tries that. We've seen finishes in the past where drivers have run out of fuel on the final straightaway. 6 seconds now the gap, by the way. Part of that is because Kip Stevens has dropped back to the second pack, and they have since passed him. Fernandez, Rankin, and Hartley have. Again, currently the top 23 yet to pit, as well as Powell, Miranda, and Zabalix Prem, who have had quiet races. P4, Fernandez still leading that pack. It still seems once more that it's very content-like driving if you're from a Ryan race team. It's just ride and save. Seeming, again, like you said, the call. For Rankin, he's someone you were talking about who's impressed you in the past.
Yeah, he's been one of those drivers I've really watched. He's only a young person as well. I'm not sure of his age, but he's young either way, and he's really quick, and he's impressed me in other various leagues. But at the moment, he doesn't seem to be eager to make a move, and maybe just, like you say, happy to stay where he is and just play maybe the fuel saving game. And he's also got Robert Hartley, his teammate, to kind of provide a bit of a bodyguard role, if you like.
Steven Van Alpstol has pit from the top 10 just now. But yeah, it's always so critical for these types of races, right? Because before you may see drivers in open qualifying go back and forth and help each other with the pole in these types of cars. But in our cases, especially, it's important to be able to sync up. There have been several cases where this season, drivers have had we've had 7 different cars in the lead pack from 7 different teams.
Yep, absolutely. They're not really doing anything, not changing any positions, so just staying where they are. And yeah, apart from that, it seems to be this pack, or the field in general, have just split up a little bit.
Vicente Salas and Jaume Torres have swapped positions. That happened in turn 5. Now making their way down through turn 8, off through turn 9. Trying to bump with one another. The fuel number, by the way, that we have been given is about 2.3 gallons. And here's the key thing. Again, with essentially, which are, so to speak, like jugs, you basically have a long time to fill that. That's why those tenths of a second matter so much. Vicente Salas really backing off Brandon Hawkins. 6 tenths now back.
Absolutely, and Salas he's lost a little bit of touch to Hawkins, and I think Torres, you might see him getting a little bit impatient and maybe trying to get by on the back straight on this lap.
As in get it back, yes. Again, the run through turn 5 to turn 6, especially since James Sharp, Will Mason, Jason Walsh, all pitting this time by. So they have now come in. That means about less than 20 cars yet to take their service or have yet to take a faster pair for this race. Kip Stevens has also gone in. He's now pulled off the racetrack. 11 estimated laps to go this time by, approaching less than 17 minutes on the clock. currently under 18 minutes rather on the board.
As I head on to the back straight now, and yeah, actually surprisingly, Torres is not as close to Sally's as I thought he would be, but yeah, I think he might have just got a bad exit heading onto the back straight.
It just seems like today, at least, if you fall tire to tire, drivers have been, in some cases, the last car I've noticed in the packs has been nearly sliding off to the grass or being pulled into the grass just about.
Yeah, absolutely. As, looking back at this battle as well with Fernandez, Rankin, and Robert Hartley, and
oh, here we go. That's Brendan Hawken. Hawken has pit from the race lead. He'll be joined by Juan Manuel Fernandez, your winner from last week. Rest of the top 5 yet to pit.
This is going to be a crucial pit stop for Brendan Hawken. He needs to try and. It looks like he got a good pit entry. He carried loads of speed, and I think he just needs to have a perfect pit stop and have a good exit as well. And one crucial thing as well, not get held up in traffic.
There's the left side tires we talked about. We'll see how long he's in the box in total. Owen Watts, Joe Cole, Powell Sematic, Nicholas O'Short have also come in for service. For Brandon Hawken, it's an 18.9 this time. He's off and away. That's a 40.6 second pit delta. Also, Juan Manuel Fernandez, he's off and away an 18.8, but an extra 2 seconds on the delta. Right now, the lap times for the leaders, 138.6s. For the main pack, Rankin and Hartley ran 139s last time.
Yep, so pretty much Brandon Hawken just needs to basically put in the outlap of his life. Oh, as he gets sideways, and yeah, he's absolutely pushing it.
And there he is right there. Keep in mind, the left front tires we've been hearing have been getting fairly worn on these cars. So that may be a critical difference if they can keep it stable. Now for Vicente Salas, can he keep it stable up the front? This is right where they need to come in now. Vicente Salas nearly overshoots the pit entry. Torres nearly hits him in the back end. Big check as they go through the pit entry. That may lose him some time.
It possibly could, and yeah, it just shows these guys are absolutely giving it everything. Don't want to lose too much time to Brandon Hawken, and Hawken at the moment, I'm just watching him. He's on the back straight heading down to the final chicane, and this is going to be really close. But I think Salles and Torres might have lost maybe a second or so.
And that may be the power of the undercut that's been so critical this season. Right side tires for Vicente Salas, Torres with left sides. And I think part of the reason their ride may be time, but also the overall experience, where usually the closest side to the wall has been the quicker side. Off and away they go. Brandon Hawken will come out right with them. Torres will jump him. Torres to the lead. Salas cycles to third, so they keep up with him.
That's interesting from Torres, and I don't know if Torres might have slightly underfield to try and get ahead. And that's if I was Torres, I would be a little worried.
16.3 seconds on the gas. Torres also shoving his body for the car, rolls its way towards the curbs. Hawken to the left side of the track for the race lead. Big pull off the turn 6 as Torres defends hard of the inside line. Bit of contact. Hawken saves it and takes the lead anyway.
Oh, that was so close to ending up in disaster. And Torres, that was so close. Thankfully, him and Hawken managed to get away with that. But I think Torres, he's the man that's going to have to stay in the slipstream for a little bit and save some fuel.
Yeah, this is going to be where it could be intense for the next 9 estimated laps. Have to see if he's going to be able to break through for the victory. Vicente Salas looking to break through, not just for his first podium, if he can hold on, of the season, but his first W. Big run on Torres, though, nearly ran him over going through the final corners. For reference sake, by the way, Elvis Rankin, Robert Hartley also only put him in 16 to 17 seconds of gas. They got broken up, however, by a second plus. Fernandez was the slowest out of the group. He's now in 7 seconds behind your race lead. The full grouping of cars that was the second pack, all separated by 1 second plus.
Yep, so the pit stops have played a crucial factor as well, and at the moment, Hawken up at the front is pulled away slowly, and I think if you're Torres, you're so tempted to push, but on the other hand, you've got that worry in the back of your mind that you might run out of fuel. So it's kind of, what do you do? Do you push, or do you have to back off and save fuel? Because at the moment, Torres is also under pressure from Vicente Salas.
And the sand kicked up this time for Vicente. Right now, these cars have already fallen off by about 1 second to Brandon Hawken. Our approach to the best drafting section of the racetrack, though, for the downhill, heading off towards turns 9 and turns 10. Now approaching 12 minutes on the board as you look in the interval between second and third, 0.4 of a second.
Yep, and it's pretty much a battle as it stands for second between Torres and Salas, and I'm just looking further back as well. And like you say, Justin, the pack behind with Rankin, Hartley and Fernandez is pretty much, and the other cars behind as well, pretty much been broken up. The battle for P7 has gone on between Nico and Owen Watts as well.
Also, Columbra and Van Opstal, I should rather say, in this grouping, as here comes the send. Trying to take the move is Owen Watts, switching colors for this race and teams to the Delta Sport cars, able to move up one more spot. This is for 7th. By the way, of note, remember that plus 30 or more from Luke Bennett? He has since crashed after pit stop cycles. He is now off the track. He is in 35th position on the board. Your biggest movers are now among this train. Plus 23 for Columbra, plus 24 for Nicholas Short, by the way, is your overall biggest.
Yeah, so some of these drivers have managed to keep out of the mayhem that happened at the start. And as it looks like we've got more people in the pits as well.
That's Ari Harlow for a second pit stop. He went 16 laps. That's by far the longest out of anybody. But, however, with 16 seconds of fuel put into the race car, he's out of range for points. 24 fallen back already. For Owen Watts, though, he's had good speed throughout this season as well. The Florida-based driver looking pretty competitive.
Yep, absolutely. Rider on board as well, heading onto the back straight, and I have to say, Justin, this is one of my favourite views of the on board the MX-5. This fantastic camera angle from Dougie Beard, and the rudder light when it starts to get dark is just a majestic sight.
Taking the huge run right to the back bumper of Watts too. And you have to say, it's either you take the momentum to the car in front's rear end, or you try and take it to the inside like this. Columbra side by side, off through the tight 10A and 10B. BRT car, however, holds on for now. That lost him about nearly a full second. Of note, Austin Smith in trouble as the race lead is getting intriguing. We also had Fernandez get by Hartley with the draft last time by.
Yep, so Robert Hartley's unfortunately lost that position, but if he can stay close to Fernandez, he could be able to take the position back, and just ahead of them, not too far, thinking about it, is Elvis Rankin. So Rankin, you never know, he might back off and maybe try and help Hartley with some slipstream.
I mean, at the way this is looking like, championship will likely not be clinched today, but right now for Hawken, he's doing what he needs to do, Ryan, to try and do so possibly at Sebring, if not in the season finale, by a decent margin. Yeah,
he's doing the best job that he can, and at the moment he's being reeled back in by Torres and Salas in second and third, and again we've got a free car battle on for the win.
Elvis Rankin, if anything happens, is still 3.2 seconds back. He is the same pace, if not quicker, than your race leader in this group. Vicente Salas with a big boost, hits the grass, holds on to it, however. 5 estimated laps to go, 8 minutes on the clock this time.
Absolutely, and yep, actually thinking about it, the person in the box seat, if either of the top 3 get caught up, is Elvis Rankin. He's just he's not too far back in this pack when you think about it.
He's gaining. He just gained an extra 0.2 after that corner. Rankin is closing without the help of the draft. He's only now 3 seconds flat behind. If anything, Hawken is running 0.4 laps slower right now than Rankin. Look at the estimated laps it's starting to swing towards Rankin's direction.
Absolutely, and I'm actually thinking. I was talking about earlier. Maybe Torres is maybe slightly on the field. I wonder if Brandon Hopkins is having to back off slightly just to conserve some fuel.
He was the lead car for just about the entire run before the pit stops. So that may be something to consider since he has been the lead car for most of this run as well. In the braking zone, it's under 2.9 seconds now for Rankin to the back end of this group.
And yeah, watching the gap now, I'm watching Rankin from iRacing in game, from my point of view, and yeah, he's definitely closing slowly on these guys in front.
Have to see if he can get within the draft to make it a 4-car scrap. No moves yet for Torres. Remember, under fuel. Salas, though, wants it. To the inside for second. Salas given the spot.
Yep, as they come up over the crest now, heading down to the start-finish line. And yeah, I think Hopkins might be starting to feel a little bit worried now as Salas is starting to get a move on. He's got by Torres, but I think with the top three close together, I think you might see, Salas gets so close into turn 1.
3/10 lost by Rankin this lap as well. By the way, had a bad third sector through 10A and 10B that lost him those 3/10 to Hopkins' time. Keep in mind, Watson and Arby Lomi are still scrappy as us that goes all on for 7th position. That is Arby Lomi on the bottom side. Trying to make it stick? No. Back single file. Columbra takes a bit of a peek back single file as well. That's Van Opstal once again. That's at the back of the group.
Yep, Van Opstal is pretty much just watching these guys going at it, and he's thinking, come on boys, start scrumping them up yourselves and let me have an incident so I can pick up a few places. But yeah, we've not just got battles up at the front happening, we've got this battle going on for P10 as well.
Far back as P10, yes. Keep in mind that Austin Johnson is currently in the last points paying position for now by 4 seconds. Rafael Grancic has recovered from his early incident to 14th as well in the next big pack of cars. If anything happens with this group, James Sharp is 4 seconds behind this 4-car train. Approaching 5 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, I'm just watching back up at the front as well, and the top three are coming up to lap a lap marker as well, and it's not helping it either. The top three or even.
Oh no, that's a Bollocks Prem with a bit of a hold up there on Brandon Honkin. Several drivers on the radio there as Vicente Salas doesn't take it. Likes to stay single file, as Torres did lose the most time out of everyone in that grouping because of that lap car. That may have helped him Rankin a little bit as well to get back within 3.1 seconds. He was as far back as 3.4 the previous time by.
Yep, it's come up through all the exit of the S's now, and yeah, Hopkins is starting to feel it from Salas, and I think what do you do if you're Hopkins? Do you defend straight away, or for everything it's worth, or just wait until the final lap and try and keep Salas behind?
Have to see, especially since they have Hayden Gober, who is at risk of falling a lap down. This is some of the most lap traffic these drivers have had to see for the battle for the race lead all season, Ryan.
It absolutely is, and it looks, Salas is getting closer to Hopkins. He's getting closer, but he's going for the move.
Here he goes to the inside, heading off to turn 10. Vicente Salas. Hopkins lets him go. Torres with a massive send. Torres licks the stamp. He sends it off to second. He makes it stick to the paper. 2 laps estimated to go. 3 minutes and 15 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Hopkins there. He just slowed up massively, but I don't know if it was maybe just Torres catching him out. But Hopkins, he's lost some time to them, but they've still got about a couple of minutes remaining. And Hopkins, I think if he wants to try and win this race, he's got to get back onto the back of both these cars in front.
And they still had to get better on the lap car, who wanted them to go around the left side. Once again, that was Gober. Losing the most time was Hawkin. He is 1.2 seconds behind the lead. Clear traffic from here in terms of lap cars. For Vicente Salas, he's looking to hold on for the victory. For Torres, looking for his first for the campaign as well. Under 2 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock.
Yep, as coming onto the back straight now, and Torres tries to make a move on Salas, and I think I think Torres, he's got the opportunity to go for a move, and yeah, don't be surprised if he does go for it straight away.
He was able to make it stick last time from deep for second. He's close for first. Torres to the right side for the race lead. Takes it away. Vicente Salas shuffled back to second. He still holds the bottom though. Tries to outbreak him. Near contact as he leans on him. Torres to the point. Expecting the white flag this time by as Rankin's now within 4/10. He now goes to the left for second place.
Yeah, Elvis Rankin is in the box seat. He's just watching these guys going at it like crazy, and Brandon Hawkins got to run in the home straight. He's going to try and go for a move into turn one. He can't do anything because Salas is on it, Salas is trying to make a move up the inside of Torres.
Final lap for Moto Atlanta, under minute and 20 seconds on the clock of the stripe. Salas looking to come away with an upset victory. Torres looking to try and get a big victory for the championship. He overruns part of the S's. Here comes Salas. Hawkins tries to line it up as well as they go off towards turn 5.
As they're heading up to the exit of the S's now, and I think Brandon Hawkins, he could win this race. I think he's in the perfect position watching these guys. But I think if Hawkins gets the opportunity to go for a move, he's just got to go for it. And but on the other hand, he's got to think of the championship.
And they also have Elvis Rankin now within the draft as well. So you have the top 3 in the points now with a chance to win this race in the 4-car scrap for the victory. One last chance to draft on by. 30 seconds on the clock. Is Vicente Salas close enough for the lunge to take away the win? Can Brandon Hawkins do something from second? From third, rather. Here comes Salas. Look to the left. Torres goes to the middle of the track. Salas put the squeeze back. Outbreaks him. Torres tries to go for the up and under. Big cut to the 10B. To the right side. Contact for the lead. Dooring each other off into the final corner. Checker flag up in hand. Torres gets by. He wins it at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Salas second, Hawkins third, Rankin in fourth.
Yep, coming across. Oops, sorry, Justin.
Torres with his first victory of the season holds on after a last lap Dyson battle with Vicente Salas. Fernandez and Hartley finish 5th and 6th. Columbra holds on for 7th. What a final lap, Ryan.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. That was a fantastic battle for the winners. Looking at P12 as well, Raphael, is coming across the line. He'll take P12 with 13th going to Powell, and Austin Johnson taking 14th.
Last points paying position goes to Jason Walsh. Joe Cole losing a spot at the line, had to go in the grass to battle for 16th. Many of the air drivers have a calmer finish at the stripe as we see Will Mason and company cross some of the RBRT cars with a bit of rough ones. Ari Harlow, we talked about, might have had a shot at points, did not get there. But in the end, it's a big victory for Torres. He's run out of gas on the cooldown lap. That's how close he was on the gas, and that's how, in part, he helped secure the victory. Post-race coverage coming up in just a moment. You're watching GSRC. Welcome back to GSRC's coverage of the Big C's MX-5 Challenge here at the beautiful Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta, after what was an exciting finish to lead us in to the minus 273 post-race show. Whether it's on the real track or the virtual track, minus 273 has one goal in mind: to produce the best racing gloves to get the job done. With unmatched comfort, durability, and style, their gloves will leave your old ones in the dust. Find out how they can help you by visiting minus273.biz. Unofficial race results see Jaume Damasis Torres break through for his first victory of the season after being close last week after a last lap, last corner crash at Daytona. He holds off Vicente Salas with his best career finish in this series in second, while Brandon Hawken comes home in third after a wild battle for the win. Elvis Rankin gained more than 2 seconds on the final lap with all the scrapping. He finishes in fourth, with Fernandez and Hartley fifth and sixth. Lumbro, Watts, Van Opstal, and Sharp your top 10.
Yep, finishing in 11th was Rafael Drasas, with 13th going to Austin Johnson, with Jason Wolfson 14th, 15th going to Nicholas O'Short, 16th going to Joe Cole, Walty Mason in 17th, with Clifford Eben in 18th, 19th going to Daniel Ariel Munoz, and 20th was going to Anthony Boros.
Jordan Bachmeier with a very, very quiet race. 21st spot today. Ethan Lempe in 22nd. Arwie Harlow, Jonas Seeger, 24th. Lubov, a very quiet race as well in 25th. Celebrated her birthday last week. Started in 38th, gone up to 25th. Aiden Aquino, who made a start today, his first of the season, finished in 26th. Nico Arilomi, Shane Sullivan, Lee Martin, Ryan Panicino from FDF finishes in 30th.
Yep, 31st was goes to Paulo Miranda. 32nd was Hayden Gobert. 33rd was Jesus Bolts Prem. 34th was Austin J. Smith, and the rest of the field either retired from the race or were too far back.
Mundos, Stevens, Vitulio, Brady, Anderson, Gill, Espis in his debut for the season, Conus, Hides, Taylor, and Fike. But your race win went to Torres, but the man who comes home in second is now standing by, Vicente Salas, with a heck of a second place run, your best finish of the year. Talk us through those final laps as you try to make your way to victory lane for the first time in your career in this series.
Yeah, it was a really crazy race. I was just trying to get in. There's kind of a rotation, right? When you're going down the straightaways, you got the people getting the draft, passing, slingshotting, and I just wanted to get on the right sequence to where on that final lap going into that final chicane, I could have the draft and go for the move. And fortunately, it worked out perfectly just like that, but I oversent the corner and kind of messed up my run, and Jaume got by me, which, I mean, great win to him, great move. But I guess those final few laps, we were really just trying to position ourselves for that final corner.
Yeah, what was kind of the pressure like after seeing the big one happen behind you and then realizing, oh, hey, I'm one of only a couple people in the lead pack and we're gaining on the rest of the field?
I think the pressure honestly really went down, you know. I think all three of us were kind of on the same page, which was where we just kind of push each other, stay together, and try and keep that gap. Because at the end of the day, we all want to win the race. So if us three could push ourselves out way in front, we'd all three have a better chance than everybody else to win. And I think we did just that. Elvis did a great job getting back to us because I know he was caught up in that mess behind us. But I think overall, me, Jaume, and Brandon kind of had the same mindset going forward from the beginning of the race.
On that note as well, at the end of this race, your best finish of the season, still a couple more races on the campaign. And of course, there's a lot to balance. You have this, you have the World Championship for Rallycross, you have the World Championship qualifiers going on for eNASCAR. What's going to be the preparation like for Sebring for racing once again in this MX-5 with everything else going on for you, especially on the Elite Seller Esports side?
I think I'll probably put in a few more laps than I did today. I completely blanked on the race being today. And I was like, oh shoot, I have this race going on. So I joined in. Fortunately, there was still about 10 minutes left in qualifying. So I was able to get in some good practice laps and get in a good time to put me in the top 5. And I guess from there on, just kind of ran the race out. But I think regarding Sebring, I'll definitely try and put in some practice laps. And I think it'll help me put myself into better position to be more consistent throughout the race.
Anyone you want to thank for the run today?
Yeah, I'd love to thank Justin Taylor for being on the box today, Dave Siltman, all the guys that Elliott Sadler Esports, Cam Evan, and you guys for putting on the show.
Congratulations on the P2 today.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.
Thank you very much. That's Vicente Salas coming home second today. As mentioned, with the help of Justin Taylor, had his name on the side of the doors for today, I believe, as well as Brandon Hawken. He led a majority of the laps today, but P3 is where he finishes. That gets him a trip to Ryan Walker's seat.
Yeah, the Canadian driver starting in pole position for the race, and he was pretty much leading for most of the race. But it seemed to be, Brandon, that as soon as both guys that you're battling with, Torres and Salas, got by you, you seemed to slow up into the chicane a lot more. Was that just, did you get caught out by not expecting 2 moves to be done at one, or was it just kind of just unlucky, I guess?
Yeah, it was a little bit scary. I think what I saw in the mirror was a little bit scarier than what actually happened because yeah, like I saw like I was letting Vicente go, and then I saw Torres just fly up my inside, but he still made the corner, so I don't think he was going quite as fast into the corner as I thought he was. I thought he was just gonna like fly past me into the grass and stuff. So man, yeah, he made it stick, and yeah, I was just thinking like championship. I don't want to like I don't want to end up getting wrecked. And I think I was just a little bit overly cautious there. But at the end, I was hoping Vicente and Jaume, they would get into it there a bit at the end. They almost did, and but yeah, I didn't want to risk anything too much because yeah, the main goal is just the championship right now.
Yeah, and yeah, thinking about the championship as well, do you think what's your aim for the rest for the remaining races in the series? Is it just basically try and maybe win a race or win the last 2 races of the season, or is it just basically take the safe approach, just pick up the points and just get the season out of the way?
Yeah, I think the main goal is just to be like to finish clean and get good finishes. Yeah, I don't really want. I want to like put myself in a situation that would like jeopardize that. So yeah, I'm just gonna just try and keep it safe for the next 2 races. But if we can win one of them, that'd be pretty awesome. And yeah, man, 2 races to go. It should be. we're so close. So yeah, just gotta keep her clean, and hopefully hopefully we can take it home.
Good stuff. And yeah, before we let you go, Brandon, anyone that you want to give a shout out to?
I'd just like to thank all my teammates at Movano Sim Racing. James did a really good job tonight going, I think he fell back to 24th after some contact and then went all the way back up to 10th. So great drive by him. And yeah, Vicente and Jaume and Elvis, that was a really fun race. And yeah, looking forward to next week. Sebring should be pretty entertaining. So yeah, and thank you guys in the broadcast booth, behind the scenes, everything, and Clifford for the series, all the series sponsors, and yeah, we'll see you guys next week, hopefully.
Thank you, Brandon. And that was 3rd place finisher Brandon Hawkins from Canada joining us. And I believe up next, Justin, you have got 4th place finisher Elvis Rankin with you.
Yes, indeed. And first things first, Elvis rather. Crazy first lap that led in part to having to make one of the biggest closing up gap moments of the season, where you were up to 6 seconds back first. What was the perspective from the craziness that was the S's on lap 1?
Yeah, the S's was super scary, I guess you could say, through lap 1. It wasn't super fun trying to go side by side coming into there, but just wanted to get straightened out. And then I don't know what's going on, but we can't seem to get through lap 1 without, or even a race without having an incident of getting door banged or punted or getting in a wreck. And sure enough, today it still is followed as true. And I don't know why we're being so aggressive on lap 1, to be honest.
I mean, there's a positive, though. Many of your competitors in the top 3 took note of how you were able to close up in those closing stages. What was kind of the mindset in trying to get yourself good laps, to get yourself in the lead fight?
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to, first off, get my teammate Rob back up to me, so we kind of did a little bit of work. You know, I kind of hang back a little bit from Juan Manuel Fernandez and kind of got him up, and then it was just fuel-saving game and just try to save as much fuel as critically possible. And then towards the end, I was just hanging about the same gap, and I was waiting for him to race. I was like, come on, start racing. And they didn't start racing until 1 lap to go, and I got there on the last lap. So 1 more lap, and it would have been interesting, but it's all good.
Final 2 races of the campaign coming up, and of course, right now you're in the mix of still mathematically for the championship, but for as well the second and third place prizes, which is still between you and Torres. Either way you slice it, because it's either an SH8 shifter if you finish second, or minus 273 racing clubs if you finish third. What's kind of now the approach to the final 2 races with how tight it is now for second, especially in the title?
Yeah, Sebring's a really good track for me. I think that's up next. So looking for a really good result there, and just it's not about winning the races, it's about finishing consistently clean. So I think my goal is just to finish in front of Torres. I know I have some pretty ugly drop weeks, so I can get some points from that and just look forward and just finish the season strong.
Anyone you want to thank for the run today?
Yeah, I want to thank Orion Race Team for just believing in me and supporting me with everything we do. Rob Hartley, my teammate tonight, we did really good. I think for how kind of little practice we got for this week for doing an endurance race, I say we did pretty good. So I think we're all going to be happy about that. I want to thank our team sponsors, HPP, Mark, JRT, Joel. We couldn't do it without them. And Frosty St. Clair for managing our team, doing an amazing job with that. Big C's Miata League for putting this whole thing on. Clifford, we couldn't do without him. And the race at Stewart tonight did an amazing job just keeping up with the calls and everything. And you guys at GSRC for broadcasting.
Congratulations on the P4 today. We'll see how you do at your favorite track next week.
Yep, thank you.
Once again, that's Elvis Rankin coming home P4 after closing up a 6-second gap and 3 seconds in the final 2 laps. Ryan, your thoughts first of all after that one?
That was an absolutely fantastic race and great racing throughout the field. And that battle for the win, going right down to the last lap, into the final chicane and heading down the hill to the start-finish line was just absolutely fantastic stuff. And my first time commentating on the series, that was really enjoyable.
And Sebring's up next, and for Stefan, he mentioned it. He considered it a drafting track, especially with the run up to Sunset. How would you consider that type of racetrack for next week for these competitors?
I think for sure you'll have some drafting going on the back straight and some drafting heading down the home straight to turn 1. But I think overall, the bumpy nature of Sebring, I think it'll make it a really good challenge for these drivers with this MX-5. Just you might see the car move around over the bumps, especially in turn 17.
I'm intrigued to see how it is as well, especially with the chance for drivers like Hawken and for several others to clinch their positions in the championship standings. The question is going to be, who will take home the title? You have to see next week. But we'd like to thank you for tuning in for tonight's exciting race once more from Road Atlanta. We'd also like to thank Clifford Evan and Big C's for organizing this strong series, as well as its sponsors, Sim Experience, SH8 Shifter, 273, and Pitbox.io. We'd also like to thank the companies who provide the software and hardware for a broadcast listed up on screen now. Special thanks to Judith Lauren, who provides some wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks as well to the team today, and Ryan Walker and Places Stefan and Sean. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Support the channel. You can check out our merchandise for sale at gsrc.storeandviewwine.com. Or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRCs_Gram. You have to head over to the YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button, as well as the notification bell, so you don't miss a moment here at Global SimRacing Channel. Next race of the campaign, as mentioned, is at Sebring on December the 13th. Be sure to tune in, as that's expected to be one of the biggest races yet. Potentially could be bigger than what we've seen today, with the chance for a championship clincher for Brandon Hawken and a chance for Elvis Rankin and Yame Torres to claw their way into a scrap for the finale. Sure, tune in. Coverage starts at 4:03 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 9:30 p.m. GMT. We also have upcoming races for other series listed up on screen. Sure, check those out as well and mark them down your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.